How you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so this teaching is about a personal thing, and I think it will relate a lot of people that will be able to relate to this, especially my own sibling this is happening to. When I came to Jesus Christ, my daughter was unfairly removed from me. It was really demonic. I did everything they asked me to do, and they still took her away. It's because we live in a fallen world, and we are in a spiritual battle. And Satan throws trials our way. Just like in the book of Job and Joseph, they had bad things happen to them, even though they loved God. But God, if you endure and you're faithful, God will come through and He will turn ashes into beauty. For in Romans 8:28 it says, "For we know that all things work together for the good of those that love God." And I love God, so I know God is faithful and true, and that He will work it all for the good. But this is the thing. In my heart, I've still been trying to parent my daughter and teach her in the ways of God. You know, God says, train a child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. But she lives primarily with her father. And the way they're teaching her is the ways of the world. And they're not the ways of God. And they're not the ways that end, that send you to heaven. And one night, I heard her crying on the phone and she was throwing up. And I wanted to comfort her, but her father wouldn't let me. And I went over there, and then I wanted to hold her, and comfort her. Because I could feel something in my spirit as her mother, like she needed that love at the moment. But the father wouldn't open the door. He finally did, and I holded her for 3 seconds. And then he ripped her back inside, and that hurt my heart so badly as a mother. But I really realized that even though I want to be that mother for her and teach her, that it's just not happening, Their influence over her is far greater than what I have. And as much as it hurts me, and it's not fair, God is working it together for the good. And He is allowing this tribulation in my life to strengthen me and to do things that I don't even understand. And sometimes trials and tribulations and hard times come our way, but what are you going to do? Turn against God and say God is evil? No, we don't understand God's wisdom. Joseph loved God. He got thrown into jail for a couple of years. He got thrown into slavery, and then he got thrown into slavery and went to jail, okay? Abraham, who else? Job loved God, right? But still, he had to go through some really hard stuff. I mean, really, he went through emotional and spiritual everything. Like, his family, they died, and he lost all of his animals that, were his livelihood, and he didn't curse God. And neither will I. But this is the thing. I want my baby. I want to be the mother for my child. And I only get 4 hours a week. The court says a minimum of 4. And unfortunately, that's all her dad gives me. God bless his soul. Pray for him. Anybody who's watching this, pray for him. Because he just doesn't see the wickedness that he does. But I forgive him because his eyes are spiritually closed. And he doesn't know God. He doesn't know the light. He doesn't know the goodness and the ways that God teaches us. And Satan has blinded his mind. And he doesn't have the spirit of Jesus in him. But God forgive him, and may God save his soul, because I don't wish that anybody end up in the hellfire. But I want to be there. I want to be that mother for her. I want to, but I can't. She's being ripped away from me. And so, like Abraham, he was tested by God. God told him to sacrifice Abraham, right, on the altar. And imagine how heart-wrenching that is. Like, right, you're like, but what? That's my son. But God tells us in the scriptures, you need to love God more than you love your flesh. Okay, God created them. Okay, and then and if you love them more than you love God, Satan is going to use them to tear at you, to tear at your heart, to say things that are not, that are hurtful and everything. That's why God has got to be your rock. So, I metaphorically have been in prayer, and literally spiritually, in a spiritual way, I have just realized God telling me, give her to me. Put her in my hands. She's in my hands. I have her. God, His Spirit's in her. He's guiding her. She's got angels around her. And God will put people in her life that will help her know who He is better. Because sometimes she doesn't want to listen to me, and she comes against me pretty foul, but that's okay. I've learned to spiritually, metaphorically put her on the altar, right? And we know what happened with Isaac and Abraham. God didn't really mean that He was going to kill him. God was just testing him. He had to go through a trial, proving that he loved God and obeyed God no matter what he thought or felt, even though it was like, what? How could I, against human reasoning. He trusted in God. That's what I have to do. And maybe you're going through a similar situation, and that's what you have to do. It's beyond human reasoning, but God has a purpose and a plan. And in the end, of course, God didn't make him kill Isaac. It was just to prove that he would follow God even when everything inside of him was like, no. And, trusted God anyways, even though it was like breaking his heart. Like, what? Sacrifice my son? I love him. How could you make me kill my son? Like, he didn't understand. It was totally beyond human reasoning. But he trusted in God with all of his heart, mind, body, and soul. And that's, if you really love God, if I really love God, like I claim to love God, then that's the same thing that I have to do right now. I have to trust her in His hands. God is everywhere all at once. He is in charge. And I just gonna trust her with Him. And I do the best I can do with the little time that I'm given with her. Teach her the teachings that I know in the Bible, bite by bite, piece by piece, and just trust God for the majority of the time that she's not with me, even though she's being introduced to a bunch of bad things, and she's starting to behave in the worldly ways and not the Christian ways, and she's got anger in her and all these things, but I trust in the Lord, and it hurts my heart, but I know it hurts my heart to not be able to parent her and really train her mind the way, and like have full control and just train her the way that I want her and build her up the way that I know is right. There's a metaphor, or there's a movie that I watched, and it's like this mother was in the cold, in the wilderness. It was snowing everywhere, and no one was with her. And she didn't have a house, or she was far away in the wilderness. There's a bunch of snow, right? But she had to leave her baby to go do something. For some reason, I don't remember. But she had to separate from her child, from her newborn baby. It was a matter of life and death. But when she would leave the baby, if she just left the baby would freeze to death. And so what she did was, there was an animal, a cow or something, and she killed the cow, cut open his stomach, and put the baby inside the body of the cow to keep the baby warm. Because of the warmth of the flesh from the cow, it would keep the temperature from the cow being alive, would keep that baby warm. And she went off and she was okay. So it's not something you'd want to do, right? Like, but sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, and just trust in God. And I don't know, maybe that was a bad metaphor there. I had a point to it earlier. I just can't remember what my point was. But anyways, I'm trusting her with God right now, and I give it up. I do the best that I can when I have her, but just trust in God. God came through for Isaac and Abraham and Joseph and Jesus. Jesus is sitting at the right hand of God now, and he's glorified forever in heaven. And Joseph and who else? Abraham. And just trust in God. God is faithful and true. And even though things take time, God will work it all out for the good. I choose to hold to his promises and know that he'll fix my daughter, and maybe she'll see me, the love of Jesus in me, and that will also help change her. She'll see me, following the obedience of God, and a light, Christians who follow God, not just say they love God. I'm not talking about false Christians. I'm a true Christian. And so I'm truly following the walk, and we slip up and now and then, like today, like in the book it says, don't call somebody foolish, and I called Annabelle being foolish because she was acting goofy and not godly, and it's like, you're being foolish, and she's like, oh, you're not following the scriptures. See that you're not, like I wasn't following the scriptures, and she saw that, and she's seeing hypocrisy, right? I can't be a hypocrite. I need to make sure that I follow that straight and narrow path, and she'll see that in me, and she'll see the difference in me compared to the people who follow the ways of the world. And the ways of the world are teaching you the ways of the devil, and they always end up in depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and just, like angry with people and not good relationships. But God's teachings keeps us healthy in our spirit, in our mind, our body, and in our emotions. Well, I hope this helps somebody out there, and God bless you guys.